Yeah, so my life ain't really going the best, and I think I'm gonna have to take a step back and just work on myself. That's pretty much becoming the catchphrase of this century, this 22nd, maybe 21st century we're in. It's a very isolated, very contained term, self-destructive too, and I want to dive a little bit more into that and what that means, and why it's keeping us more contained as a society, as an individual in society, and why it's ruining almost everything, every facet of the growth and development of society, of the family as we know it. I mean, you got date naps, keeps you inside. Um, you got the isolation, your mental, challenges, uh, your internal struggles, isolation, parts of depression. It's the mainstream today in society. It's the mainstream in today's livelihood. It's the mainstream of being an American in this country. Um, the mental illness is exponentially grown these past 2 years, even more. Which is all the more reason why everyone stays inside and away from each other. Very unhealthy, very unproductive, and very destructive to a civilization. A good one, a productive one. Which is why I'm making this video. It's got me bugged. It's a very haunted idea, and it's a very sickening state of humanity at this point. Uh, can anyone agree? Um, these date naps are very sickening. I can't talk to anybody for the life of me, and I happen to be a normal human being, from what I can tell. At this point, it doesn't matter if you're a man or female. Um, Everybody at this point, doesn't matter who you are, they're all separated from one another. They're discouraged society from a societal standpoint. They don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want to expand their livelihoods. Um, Everyone's stuck on social media. Dating's worthless. Going out with friends is worthless. You can't trust anybody anymore. Trust is out the door. The experimentation on a friendship, the idea of it, the idea of a relationship, getting married, completely squandered, ruined, stepped on, um, watered down, overplayed. Um, the list goes on why society shouldn't interact, and this is like the prevailing trend that's been going on. I don't get it. The hatred between the genders, I don't get it. I mean, I speak from personal experience. I mean, I've had tough times with women, friends, trust with other people, allies, building up, nurtured friendships due to that fact myself, personally. And it ain't my fault, and it's not their fault either. I think it's just the narrative that this world has been operating on over the course of time. This has been a topic that I've been wanting to discuss upon for a very long time. I think society is so ass backwards on what to do with it because nobody's dating anymore. Nobody's forming relationships anymore. Not that people can even afford to even have them. You know what I mean? Me, for example, I'm a young man, right? I'd have to, stabilize myself to have, a decent looking, you know, spiritually well put together female. You know what I mean? But I can't do that because of the way this economy sits. I can't provide for a family eventually if I ever have kids. I can't provide for a wife if I ever want a wife or own a house. You got to think about it. This generation will never own anything because we're literally running the rat race. Too much so that even the stuff that we do own, we'll never even have time to use. So, how does that make sense? Right? So, which brings me back to the quote, I need to take a step back and I need to work on my life. Because at this point, my life is insufficient to being malleable enough to raise a family, to product a spouse, to be a productive male in a relationship. It's impossible. It's making it impossible because of the way society is going. Um, so this big question, oh, why did men give up on dating? Why is women giving up? Why are they acting different? Why is my friend acting different from years ago? Why is this world changing? Why does it feel like I'm in a different reality? That's why. The way the narratives have pushed society, the way this economy has driven society on a societal standpoint. You got to think we're all factors on a certain standpoint, so we have certain abilities and certain requirements that we need in order to product those things, in order to product society. But we can't do that because we're not making the money or given the leeway to do so. So therefore, you're gonna have this, you know, fluctuation of traditional norms in our society going AWOL, and you wonder why we're in like some other alternate dimension or something. I'm not saying this to sound crazy, you guys. I'm just saying this because this is what I see in our society. This is what's going on. Um, we have males in our society that can't even produce anymore because they're literally being neutered, both mentally and physically, by the world. And that makes us unattractive to females. Therefore, females want to go their own way. Therefore, a decline of families, decline of population growth, therefore, a decline of society and civilization as we know it. This is just known. This is known. So, with that fact being said, there's obviously an agenda to put humanity at rest for good. And it has to be questioned, and it has to be turned around. Because if we keep going down this line, this pipeline of bullshit, no one's going to be happy. Shit, we'll barely even have a population in the future if we keep going down on this trajectory. So this is what I'm saying, guys. This shit's very important, man. You gotta look at all these specific facts, and then roll it all up into one conclusion because it all goes to one result. All of these shitty ass fucking outcomes that are happening in the world, they all culminate to one shitty cherry on top. Look what happened with COVID. I'm always gonna go back to that and reference that. I'll never forget what happened because what happened to society at that point was just it was unbelievable. It was something of nightmares. The average American can't even afford gas. You know, gas prices are up there with a movie theater ticket nowadays. Um, totally ass backward. The iPhone that you're probably paying for now probably ain't even worth what you're paying for today because your bills are so high. This is the type of shit that I'm talking about. And this is the type of shit that's just going to leave society in the dirt unless we do something, man. And I don't know about anybody else, but me, I want kids in the future. I want a wife to satisfy and to support. I'm going to be a father one day to support a family. You know, these are parents. These are future parents, future adults coming up in the generation, and they're not going to know what to do to product and to provide for a positive potential future if there is one. So how are we going to continue as a human race? We gotta ask ourselves that.